playing crisp and clean here in Game 2 versus Parting.
That's right. Moving into Game number 2, they are going to be playing on Shakura's Plateau, so maybe we'll see a little bit of a macro game here. I know that the STC is going to have to make something happen.
All right, guys, so we are now into this game. Who do we have here as our players?
That's right. Now, up here in the upper left-hand corner of the map, we do have, playing as the Blue Terran, currently behind 0-1 in the series, the STC. And his opponent all the way over here in the right-hand corner of the map, playing as the Red Protoss, currently leading 1-0. We saw him contain his opponent last game and just maintain that lead very well. We've got Startails Parting.
I mean, the amount of excitement that's currently mounting for me is unprecedented. We're at MLG. The stakes could not be higher up. And, I mean, at this point, we've just got ourselves set up for a great match. Now, pardon us 1 second here, guys, as we do correct this scoreboard for you. There you go. Startail Parting currently leading the series 1-0. STC is, I think, he's getting himself ready at Shakura's Plateau. You know he's going to be prepared. One of the things I want to point about the STC is he's one of these players who every single game will make sure that he has a build order prepared. Excuse me there with the zoom. He has a build order prepared for each matchup on each map. If he goes into a map, for example, versus Protoss, I guarantee you, the STC already knows exactly what he intends to do.
Right, and the question is he going to be able to stick to it, or will Parting be able to take charge of the game once again? Because really, essentially, if you come into a game with a strategy and your opponent just stops you from being able to do it, forces you into doing something else, you're effectively left empty-handed.
No, it's a great thing to point out. And, you know, Parting is getting the information that's going to allow him to make those moves, to, you know, mix up exactly what the STC intends to do here, because we saw him running around with this probe, trying to find out exactly what his opponent's doing. He doesn't see anything right now. And he found an SCV hiding in the bottom left-hand corner here. That is a huge tell his opponent intends to expand. And he knew at an earlier time than, you know, then an expansion goes down, which is just a great thing for Startails Parting.
Yeah, getting in and seeing that SCV was very crucial. It really didn't trigger him to have to do anything, although he does now know that he is going to be safe for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Oh, surprisingly enough, he's had his assimilator down and actually has not bothered taking any of the gas out. He probably saw that expansion coming and decided, okay, I know that it's going to be safe for me to expand.
Yeah. I think you're exactly... You know what, Rupp?
Oh, whoa.
Dead on. There goes the Nexus. Parting wants to make sure he goes tit for tat here, if you will, with OGS, the STC. Last game he won because of his early macro advantage, and I think it's a place in which Parting feels really, really comfortable. You know, we were talking about it in Game 1, where if Parting gets that macro advantage against Terran, he is a player who in most cases cannot be stopped. And I'm curious how the STC is going to try to deny that, because he opened up with a command center first. It almost seems as if, you know, he's willing to get into this macro, into a macro battle, if you will. But is that where the STC wants to go? Does he want to play in the court in which Parting is, you know, is the strongest?
Right, because, so, the STC is doing something something that could potentially turn very interesting very quickly. Now, you see players try to do the crazy one base double orbital command, like is it 5 barracks that it can support or something like that? Now, what happens when you just place that command center or orbital outside of your base instead? You're going to force your opponent to think that you're macroing. Now, he could potentially just add on a ton of barracks behind this and surprise Parting, although now it actually seems like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, he's throwing down at 2 refineries, and this is going to allow him to tech out of this. Which, honestly, I mean, it looks as if he does intend to go into some sort of a standard game. I would have loved to see something like that. It could have really, really caught Parting off his guard. Excuse us here, guys, while we do fix the colors. We are aware that is, in fact, backwards, so...
Oh, yeah. Oh, almost there.
Sentry
Bam.
Popping out here for Parting.
Oh.
Rob, you are just a man with the plan. So good with fixing things on the fly.
Oh, man. Pop, pop.
Fantastic at it. There we go. Everything fixed up now for you guys, except
except for the score is now backwards.
Pardon the technical difficulties. We've got a whole new awesome set of features, but I don't want to talk about that too much. We'll actually let you know in between games because we've got things now developing for our players. STC here up is opting to go into Stim, and this takes a while to research. It's not going to let him lay any serious pressure on here. Is Parting going to opt to do? I mean, I wouldn't expect him to make the same maneuver as last game, although it did work. STC could really punish him for it if it were predicted. Now we see STC making transitions that wouldn't allow for it, but Parting is playing pretty cautious.
Yeah, he's adding on a lot of those gateways. Another thing too that'll differentiate from the previous game is that really there's not too many places that Parting can actually place a stalker to hide an expansion. Right? Yeah. He's not going to be able to prevent as much of the scouting on this map, just because there's so many ways for you to go around and eventually get into that third, and especially if the stalker's kind of out there, there's really almost, I mean, you're just going to assume that your opponent has the third anyway, but Parting has not dealt with that. Instead, he adds on 4 gateways for a total of 7.
Yeah. This is quite a number of gateways coming out of Parting. He wants to lay the pressure on his opponent, the STC. And I love the drastic switch. You know, last game, macroing so intensely. This game opting to switch it up a little bit. STC throwing down 2 bunkers, though. And I think he's really going to appreciate that he opted to go with this decision.
Yeah, getting down those bunkers is going to help a lot in holding this off. Now, if the force fields are amazing, and if Parting has a ton of things out on the field, maybe he can break through this, but it just seems like STC has far too much information. Yeah. It seems like he's going to be able to hold this. Now, we see that forward pylon being placed down, and Parting doesn't have enough minerals banked to really take advantage of an entire, like, 7-wave warp-in. I don't see him being able to make too much use of this push.
Yeah, Rob, I mostly agree with you here. STC has had so much information this game, and he's still getting it now. Look at this Marine in the bottom right patrolling, and, you know, he knows this pressure is coming because he knows his opponent's on just 2 bases. Right now we do see Parting moving up the ramp, but no force fields have gone down yet because they're not needed.
Oh, wow, no, they're not. He's able to focus fire down the first bunker, and very nicely also gets in there and stops the second one. Now, we saw those SCVs really do some serious work on those Zealots. It prevented the Zealots from getting up the ramp, and now there's only a single bunker remaining. Will Parting end up trying to run by, or is that just too many Marines?
He took out the bunkers on the right-hand side, which is going to completely allow him maneuver if he decides to go with it. Doesn't. You know what? Now he's doing it, Rob. Throws down the force field, shreds the Marines. What beautiful force fields there for Scartail's Parting.
A very nice answer from the STC, pulling up his Marines, lifting them, and bringing them back. Now, he does have Stim. He does still have a bunker. Parting's in a little bit of an awkward spot, although he is able to continue warping in additional reinforcements. He has just about enough money to also warp in an entire round of sentries.
Yeah, he's pulling quite an amount of gas right now. We don't see him transitioning as of yet, but he has started making probes. So perhaps going to lighten up on this pressure somewhat. If he is opting to do that, really needs to throw down something to start utilizing this gas, because if that gas gets too high, simply put, we're going to see him ultimately run into a troubled situation from pulling too many resources.
Yeah, now we actually see, oh man, unfortunately, STC just hasn't had additional units being made. He kind of switched into a little bit of a macro mode, creating some additional production buildings. He just doesn't have that much out right now, although with the medevacs and with the Stim, he can potentially tear through this final push from Parting. It's looking like Parting's going to be forced to pull back, although no, he just has so many minerals banked that he can continue that aggression.
Yeah, he does grab all these Zealots once again. Zealots not in the front. There we go. Parting fixing that up rapidly, and now going to be moving here into the base. Really ahead economically right now. Zealots coming up. SCVs getting in front of these Marines, letting their DPS do what they do best.
Oh, man. And as those Zealots just absolutely tear through that Terran force, this is looking more and more grim for the STC.
Yeah. I mean, Parting seems pretty confident right now. He actually didn't even drop a force field down to prevent those units from running up the ramp, even though he completely could.
Doesn't need to worry about. I mean, he has now forced the STC into a full defensive position. The STC had pretty much just about prepared to go and try to take a third, although Parting caught him off guard by continuing with his heavy 2-base aggression.
Yeah, I mean, Parting's still sitting on just 2 bases. He's going to be getting close, but a nice force field, trapping a lot of units in the medevacs. We're out of position there. The full medevac gets shot down for the STC, and this is just so brutal, honestly, at this position.
And yeah, he had a really nice pickup, but it doesn't matter how many units you pick up if the medevac dies.
True enough, Rob. Zealots now, well, honestly, I mean, the STC can potentially hold here for a little bit. He's got a lot of medevacs. SCV is going to come off the line in order to make sure the repair is full forced on this supply depot, because if Parting gets into his main, STC is done for. So right now we just see him pulling up, but honestly behind this, we are now going to likely see Parting move to take a third.
Now, what I'd actually like to see Parting do, I mean, he has just so much gas banked up right now. He could actually just go for High Templar and either decide to push with a ton of Archons to just try to end the game, because right now we don't see, like, the Marauder count isn't terribly high, and there's just not enough units on the field anyway to really deal with anything. Or, I mean, no, that one's fine. I mean, he can even use the Templar to just storm as well. Yeah, really all he has is time.
He forces the units sitting at the top of the ramp to fall back. One of the things I want to point out here is that Parting has had these Stalkers sitting here for quite a time. We saw them even before the medevacs loaded up. So very nice anticipation as to what STC's comeback mechanisms are here. He knows drops are the king of getting yourself back into a game where you're behind, and he has units poised to defend against just that. We also see Parting moving out in the middle of the map right now. Catches a Marine and a Marauder, actually. Nice moves there. The dropship is coming in from an awkward angle, but as I said, those units still sitting there.
Oh, wow. It's looking like that full medevac is only able to drop out 2 of those Marines before it gets eliminated. Now they are focus firing down the medevac, so it is not going to be able to heal the rest of these units as they chase the Stalker around. Oh, man, they do take out one of the Stalkers. That's just so many Zealots. This is a fantastic defense from Parting.
Absolutely. I mean, if there's anything that's really starting to seal the deal here, it's that the attempts of STC to wiggle his way back into this game have all been thwarted. He moved out in the middle of the map to try to bring the army of Parting forward, and it did. Except Parting had a nice portion of his army also waiting in his base.
And then he was I mean, he has 7 warp gates, right? He's going to be able to warp additional things in if he needs defense anywhere. He's also pretty much fully saturated that third base as well, and now it's also 61 workers staying way up on the economy. And now the units that I want to talk about are the Dark Templar. We see Dark Templar being warped in. Man, you always talk about Dark Templar as a comeback mechanic, but when you're ahead, you can actually just pummel your opponent with them.
Yeah, you know, you throw away Dark Templar after Dark Templar, making that Terran blow a scan for each one if they don't have a missile turret, which we see that the STC does not. He's trying to throw one down. Does he even have enough for a scan right now? It doesn't look like it.
Oh, man, just even between his 3 orbital... Now, he does just about have enough for the scans, but, I mean, the STC needs everything he can get his hands on. He doesn't want to lose minerals right now, and he's even forced to cancel the bunkers at the front of his natural.
Nice force fields there, preventing any units from being able to engage. More Dark Templars moving in with this army as well. Force field goes down on the ramp, and he's only got 2 medevacs here. The STC is doubtlessly going to lose a great number of units.
That's right. Parting definitely has what it takes. Now we see the scan, although there's just too many other units for him to even take out the last Dark Templar before the scan's duration wraps up. And it's looking like Parting's going to be hammering that nail right into the STC's coffin.
Yeah, this is looking close to over. We are seeing the STC get the, the command center actually taken out as he tries to fly it into the command center, or into his base rather, into his main base. Now he does still have this third in order. Marines, Marauders, Medevac sitting at the top. But honestly, he can't do too much. I mean, at this point, he's lost all map presence. We see Parting throwing down a 4th Nexus, continuing to exact his advantage. And I mean, really, it's you know what? I think this says it all, Rob. We've got 20 workers to 60.
Oh dear. That's a pretty massive lead. I'm surprised to see, you know, STC is still fighting.
Well, a couple of High Templars sitting here, prepared for any drops. He's got feedbacks loaded up. I mean, at this point, yeah, we see the STC. He knows he has to move out to be able to do something. If he doesn't make something happen here, so then I mean he's done for. He knows that his opponent is macroing insanely behind this. He's going to try to make something happen. He's going to try to force something to happen here. I think I should say, Rob.
Yeah,
Marines and Marauders stimming in here, going to try to take out this 4th Nexus. Is going down. The units were out of position for Parting, and actually he doesn't have this much in position.
Yeah, this is really his last-ditch effort at trying to seal this deal. And here he goes, just pushing through, but really Parting just has so many things. He almost has double the supply count at this point. And oh dear, there is the GG. So that means that Parting takes this series 2-0. Ho ho ho.
What a game. What a series between these two guys. Parting is going to take it 2-0 with the victory, both on Daybreak and Shakoras. I'm Kibbles. Thanks for jumping in to help me there, Rob.
It was a pleasure.
It made it a lot. You know, dual casting that, you can really throw it back and forth. It brings more analysis to the game. I think we can bring a lot of better feedback as to not only how the game is going, but insight into the players' minds.
It was nice. You get to throw back ideas. We can argue about things. And now there's one thing that we won't argue about. We want some more StarCraft. So you at home, be sure to stay tuned because we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, there's going to be more MLG Winter Championship. I'm Rob Simpson.
And I'm Kibbles.
And we'll see you soon.